Welcome to My Zone Online School. My name is Teacher Mutsa. Get your education booklet in our daily newspaper, street sales, or at your school every Monday to Thursday for pre-primary up until grade 3. The lessons are for listening or watching online. Inside the newspapers, there is an insert of the lesson booklet. Please cut the top of the lesson booklet with a pair of scissors and fold it for ready to use. But there is more. We are also available on our online platforms, MyZone and Zoshi Facebook pages, and in addition, our website, Zoshi Online. Hello everyone and welcome to My Zone Online School. My name is Teacher Mutsa and thank you so much for joining me today. Our theme this week is infectious diseases. And before we get into any lessons, boys and girls, we need to sanitize. Remember, when we sanitize, we are trying to make sure that there are no germs around us. So sanitize your hands as regularly as possible. Make sure your hands are dry before you touch anything else. For today's lesson, we will be talking about reading, vocabulary, sight words, and creative writing. For our lesson today, boys and girls, we will be discussing HIV and AIDS. We will start on page 17. On page 17, there is a passage for us to read. Now, this one is very long, so instead of us reading together, I'd like you to please listen first. So, I'm going to begin at the beginning where it says HIV and AIDS. Please follow me by listening to the story, and that way, when we read it a second time, you will know what the story is already all about. HIV and AIDS. Today, we are discussing HIV and AIDS, said Mrs. Nikango. Before we start, I want to introduce a very brave girl to you. I think you know her by now, but after today, you will know her much better. Mrs. Nikango continued. Doris, please come to the front of the class. The shy girl got up and walked to the front. She turned around slowly and faced the class. As some of you may know, I stay with my grandmother. My mother died of AIDS when I was little. She was very ill. I can't remember much about her. The important thing is that I was born with the disease, which I got from my mother. Doris told them without blinking an eye. You can't really tell when someone has HIV and AIDS. We don't look ill and live normal lives. Sometimes I feel a bit tired, but I eat healthy food and get enough sleep. I exercise and make sure that I take my medicine. You will make us all sick, said one of the boys. No, that will not happen. You can't get the disease from playing with me or touching me. Just remember, when I get hurt and bleed, call the teacher and don't touch my blood. Everyone listened in silence. as Doris explained to them that she can take care of herself and that being HIV positive doesn't make her any different. I don't want you to treat me any differently now that you know. I am just an ordinary girl with an inherited disease, she said. Thank you, Doris, said Mrs. Nikango. They all clapped their hands and went to Doris and hugged her. So this story, boys and girls, is very touching. In fact, it's very important. There are many people who are living with HIV and AIDS among us. Some of us are not sure what the disease is all about, but as we grow older, we can ask questions that help us understand what HIV and AIDS is about. So, now that we have read this story a first time, let's take a look at the questions on page 18. On page 18, we have vocabulary and sight words. Now, these words we've already used in the story, so we are going to read them. We are going to start with the vocabulary words. Please repeat after me. HIV or AIDS. Ill. Healthy food. Medicine. Disease. Virus. Bleed. Blood. Positive. Inherited. So, now that we have discussed all the words, we now want to say what each of them mean. HIV and AIDS have their own meaning. In fact, each letter there stands for a word. When you see HIV, it stands for Human Immune Deficiency Virus. The H is for human, the I is immunodeficiency, and the V is virus. The word AIDS is also having different words in it as well. The A stands for acquired. The I is for immuno, the D is for deficiency, and the S is for syndrome. The reason why they are put together is because they act the same way. They attack the body the same way as well. And you take the same medication for both of them. So they are sometimes considered one and the same. The word ill is to not feel well or sick. The words healthy food is foods that we need for our body to continue being healthy. For example, apples and bananas. The word medicine is some sort of pills or anything we need to drink in order to feel better. The word disease is coming from when you're not feeling well, where your body is trying to fight off any foreign substances. The word virus is one that we now know very well. It is something that attacks the body and makes it weak. The word bleed is the past tense or the continuous of when blood is coming out of the body. It can be through a cut or when the body has been hurt and the skin is exposed. The word blood is the blood that we have in our bodies. It is the liquid that runs through our entire bodies. It is red in color. The word positive is the opposite of the word negative. Now, the word positive, when we are talking about HIV and AIDS, means that you have HIV or AIDS. If you are negative, you say you are HIV and AIDS negative, which means you do not have it. And then the word inherited means that you were given by a very close member. In this case, it can be from mother to child. So now that we have discussed our vocabulary words which were used in our passage, we also need to talk about our sight words. These ones are quite simple, so let us read them together. We have the words we, are, said, before, start, know, much, that, and want. Now that we've taken a look at our sight words, let's continue with the questions that we will answer. It says, read the story on the previous page and answer the following questions. Number 1, who is the main character in the story? Who is the main character in the story? Number 2, Doris lives with her. Is it aunt or is it grandmother? Doris lives with her. Is it aunt or is it grandmother? Number 3, her mother died of. Is it AIDS or is it cancer? Her mother died of. Is it AIDS or is it cancer? So these are our questions that we have to answer. But before we do that, let's go back to the passage on page 17 so that we'll be able to find our answers. Remember, this time you can actually read with me, but if you're not sure or if I'm going too fast for you, you can listen. Remember also that this time you are looking for your answers, so please make sure you're keeping alert for them. We will begin at the heading. HIV and AIDS. Today we are discussing HIV and AIDS, said Mrs. Nekango. Before we start, I want to introduce a very brave girl to you. I think you know her by now, but today you will know her much better. Mrs. Nekango continued, Doris, please come to the front. The shy girl got up and walked to the front. She turned around slowly and faced the class. As some of you may know, I stay with my grandmother. My mother died of AIDS when I was little. She was very ill. I can't remember much about her. The important thing is that I was born with the disease, which I got from my mother. Doris told them without blinking an eye. You can't really tell when someone has HIV and AIDS. We don't look ill and live normal lives. Sometimes I feel a bit tired, but I eat healthy food and get enough sleep. I exercise and make sure that I take my medicine. You will make us all sick, said one of the boys. No, that will not happen. You can't get the disease from playing with me or touching me. Just remember, when I get hurt and bleed, I call the teacher. Call the teacher and don't touch my blood. Everyone listened in silence as Doris explained to them that she can take care of herself and that being HIV positive doesn't make her any different. I don't want you to treat me any differently now that you know. I am just an ordinary girl with an inherited disease, she said. Thank you, Doris, said Mrs. Nekango. They all clapped their hands and went to Doris and hugged her. So now that we have read the passage a second time, I'd like you to please try and answer these questions by yourselves later on. But right now, let's go to page 19 to complete our story. On page 19, we are now going to be doing creative writing. Now you're going to write down 3 facts about HIV and AIDS that you can find from Doris's explanation. Remember, this was Doris's story, the one that we have just read. And there were some points where she told us about HIV and AIDS, what it is all about and what it does to her. So you need to find 3 facts that she spoke about. Please put them in sentences and don't forget your capital letters and your full stops. Then, for number 2, you're going to write down 3 ideas on how you can take care of people with HIV and AIDS. Remember, they are not the only people who get sick. We have people who have high blood pressure as well and diabetes. So if you're not sure what to do about a person with HIV and AIDS, you can also write down for anyone else that you know who has a chronic disease such as high blood pressure and diabetes. So take your time, my children. This topic is very, very important. And when we are doing this topic, please make sure that you ask questions where you're not sure. It's okay to talk about HIV and AIDS, especially with your family. Ask the questions that make you understand the disease a bit better. And don't be afraid to help and be friends with people who have HIV and AIDS. Take your time, and I will see you soon after the advert break.
Follow us on MyZone Facebook Active Kids to watch your daily lesson and other fun activities with Zoe and Zoshi.
We have come to the end of our lessons, boys and girls, and I hope you had fun. Remember, if the activity or the exercise is a little bit hard for you, just ask for help. But make sure that you finish your work by yourself. And always practice, practice, practice. Now that we are done with our lessons, it's very important for us to sanitize. So let us take our sanitizer. And remember, if you don't have sanitizer, soap and water is good as well. Please make sure that you try to sanitize or use soap and water after every lesson. Then make sure your hands are dry before you touch anything else. I wonder though, I have not seen Zoshi in a long time. I think he was outside playing, but he said he was going to come and pick me up. Zoshi, are you here? Zoshi, oh, there you are, Zoshi. Hello. So, from Zoshi and I, we would like to say thank you for joining us today and goodbye.
Our online school will help you along the way. Find us at www.zoshi.online and download the booklet. Follow us on Facebook to never miss a video. Subscribe to our Zoshi Telegram channel if you want to receive daily updates. Proudly sponsored by the Ministry of Education, Arts and Culture, Namibian Community Trust, UNICEF, MyZone Online School, Amos Meerkat Syllabus, and Capricorn Foundation.